Chapter 17 The Gifts of Wali Dad. In a mud hut far from town lived an old grass cutter named Wali Dad.
Every morning Wali Dad cut and bundled tall wild grass. Every afternoon he sold it as fodder in the marketplace.
Each day he earned 30 paise. 10 of the small coins went for food, 10 went for clothes and other needs, and 10 he saved in a clay pot under his bed.
In this manner, Wali Dad lived happily for many years.
One evening, Wali Dad dragged out the pot to see how much money it held. He was amazed to find that his coins had filled to the brim.
What am I to do with all this money? I need nothing more than I have.
Wali Dad thought and thought. At last he had an idea.
The next day, Wali Dad loaded the money into a sack and carried it to a jeweler in the marketplace. He exchanged all his coins for a lovely gold bracelet.
Then Wali Dad visited the home of a travelling merchant.
Tell me, in all the world, who is the noblest lady?
Without doubt it is the young queen of Khaistan. I often visit her palace, just 3 days' journey to the east.
Do me a kindness. The next time you pass that way, give her this little bracelet with my compliments.
The merchant was astonished, but he agreed to do what the ragged grass cutter asked.
Soon after, the merchant found himself at the palace of the queen of Khaistan. He presented the bracelet to her as a gift from Wali Dad.
How lovely! Your friend must accept a gift in return. My servants will load a camel with the finest silks.
When the merchant arrived back home, he brought the silks to the hut of Wali Dad. Oh no, this is worse than before. What am I to do with such finery?
Perhaps you could give it to someone else. Wali Dad thought for a moment.
Tell me, in all the world, who is the noblest man?
That is simple. It is the young king of Nekabad. His palace too I often visit. Just 3 days' journey to the west.
Then do me another kindness. On your next trip there, give him these silks with my compliments.
The merchant was amused, but he agreed.
On his next journey, he presented the silks to the king of Nekabad.
A splendid gift. In return, your friend must have 12 of my finest horses. So the merchant brought the king's horses to Wali Dad. This grows worse and worse. What could I do with 12 horses? I know who should have such a gift. I beg you, keep 2 horses for yourself and take the rest to the queen of Khaistan.
The merchant thought this was very funny, but he consented. On his next visit to the queen's palace, he gave her the horses.
Now the queen was perplexed. She whispered to her prime minister,
Why does this Wali Dad persist in sending gifts? I have never even heard of him.
Why don't you discourage him? Send him a gift so rich he can never hope to match it. So, in return for the 10 horses from Wali Dad, the queen sent back 20 mules loaded with silver.
When the merchant and mules arrived back at the hut, Wali Dad groaned. What have I done to deserve this? Friend, spare an old man. Keep 2 mules and their silver for yourself, and take the rest to the king of Nekabad.
The merchant was getting uneasy, but he could not refuse such a generous offer. So not long after, he found himself presenting the silver-laden mules to the king of Nikabad.
The king too was perplexed and asked his prime minister for advice.
Perhaps this Wali Dad seeks to prove himself your better. Why not send him a gift he can never surpass?
So the king sent back
20 camels with golden anklets,
20 horses with golden bridles and stirrups,
20 elephants with golden seats mounted on their backs,
and 20 liveried servants to care for them all.
When the merchant guided the servants and animals to Wali Dad's hut, the grass cutter was beside himself.
Will bad fortune never end? Please do not stop for a minute. Keep for yourself 2 of each animal and take the rest to the Queen of Khaistan.
How can I go to her again? But Wali Dad pleaded so hard, the merchant consented to go just once more.
This time the queen was stunned by the magnificence of Wali Dad's gift. She turned again to her prime minister.
Clearly the man wishes to marry you. Since his gifts are so fine, perhaps you should meet him. So the queen ordered a great caravan made ready with countless horses, camels and elephants. With the trembling merchant as guide, she and her court set out to visit the great Wali Dad.
On the 3rd day, the caravan made camp, and the queen sent the merchant ahead to tell Wali Dad of her coming. When Wali Dad heard the merchant's news, his head sank to his hands.
Oh no! Now I will be paid for all my foolishness. I have brought shame on myself, on you, and on the queen. What are we to do?
I fear we can do nothing. And the merchant headed back to the caravan.